From the Tennessee Valley Weather Channel, this is a tropical weather update.
Fred Gossage here at the Tennessee Valley Weather Center on this Thursday, October 2nd, 2025 with your tropical weather update. We have a couple areas of at least some low-end interest for the next few days that we're watching. Nothing completely off the scale or anything. First off, I think the one that has the best chance of developing overall, even though it does say 20%, is the wave that will be coming off Africa the next couple days moving westward. Now, long-term, if it is able to develop anything, early suggestions are, and even just pattern recognition from this season alone, that it would likely be a recurver out in open waters. But we'll watch that just in case. Plenty of time for that to change. A little closer to home, National Hurricane Center is highlighting a weak tropical disturbance that will be moving near southern Florida the next couple of days and getting into the eastern Gulf. That's a 10% chance. I will say there's not really much model support for it. This is more of a just in case there may be a short-lived tropical depression from a little tropical low that may develop over the weekend. We're not expecting a big storm. I want to make that excruciatingly clear right now. We're not expecting a big Gulf storm. It's just that if that tropical low gets a little more convection over the weekend, it could briefly become a short-lived tropical depression. But it is this general area of disturbed weather in the Bahamas that will be moving across South Florida the next couple of days. You see a little spin into South Florida, as a matter of fact. As it gets into the Gulf over the weekend especially, it does look to have more shower and thunderstorm activity with it. The heaviest activity does look to remain out over the open waters of the northern Gulf, but there is the slightest chance. Again, National Hurricane Center saying a 10% chance that if it overperforms pretty much, it could become a short-lived tropical depression, not expecting a big system. And you know how the drought is developing across the south. A lot of the areas of the southeast could use a weak tropical system coming on shore with some heavy rain. I do think shower and thunderstorm chances locally increase here next week, but as of how things look right now, not expecting widespread heavy rain. And again, I want to stress one more time before we move into the rest of the Atlantic Basin, we are not expecting a big system out of this little disturbance, and chances are it likely won't even become a tropical depression. That's more of just them casting a safety net out there as a just in case, and then we're actually expecting something out of that. In the open Atlantic, not a whole lot going on. Frontal action in the central Atlantic that has absorbed Imelda that you see, that's the blob of convection east of the label for New York out over the Atlantic after it came across Bermuda as a hurricane last night. It's merged with the jet stream and frontal system. It's been ripped apart. It's no longer a tropical system. It's a frontal type low pressure. That's why we're not focusing on Imelda today, because the final advisory has been issued this morning and it's off the board now. Our weak little tropical wave out in the central Atlantic, not expecting anything out of that. The next area we'll be watching is out here rolling off the coast of Africa the next couple days. You see organized convection with that. That will be rolling off the coast the next couple days and out into the central Atlantic. And there is some chance, currently they're going with a 20% chance, but I could see those probabilities increasing in the days ahead. There's a chance that could develop into the next tropical system as it heads westward into the central Atlantic. But that frontal system off the East Coast and just the general pattern with where the high pressure is in the central Atlantic this season as a seasonal thing, this is very likely to recurve. And now that we're heading into October, most all of these African systems that head out to the Atlantic do recurve because the cold front's coming down off the East Coast. For U.S. type threats, we're shifting away from looking off the African coast and we're shifting toward looking back closer to home. So yes, we may see a system out there, but I'm not thinking a U.S. threat. We'll watch just in case that changes, but it would be way down the road, more than 7 days away. And honestly, I just don't see it based on how this pattern has evolved, how it still is now, and how it has been all season. The next name on the list is Jerry, and then Karen, Lorenzo, Melissa, and Nestor. We'll see how far we get. I do think we're probably going to get at least a couple more storms for the season before things end at the end of November. Keep in mind, at least the first half of October usually has a few systems. And then once you get to the second half of October, yes, you're still officially in the Atlantic hurricane season, but there's usually a rapid drop in activity based on history as we go from the second half of October into November. And then we kind of limp along through November, historically speaking, until the Atlantic hurricane season officially comes to an end at the end of November. So we'll watch things very carefully here. The next regularly scheduled tropical weather update comes tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Central Time with meteorologist Kelly Ross, and you can watch that right here on the Tennessee Valley Weather Channel.